the invisible field of modern warfare, where silence is more deadly than a missile, a weapon is rewriting the rules of combat. The TOBOL 14Ts227, a system that doesn't fire bullets but sows chaos with electromagnetic waves. Created to protect or to dominate. While governments deny its existence, satellites spy, networks collapse, and armies engage in battles without a single shot. Get ready to discover how this current technology, part shield and part sword, is silently deciding the fate of nations. The future of war has already begun, and it is electronic. Hello, fighters of the Extra War channel. In today's video, we will talk about one of the most powerful electronic warfare systems that Russia has, which has been employed for some time and has caused many problems for NATO, not only in the military field, but also in civilian applications in neighboring countries. So let's get to know the TOBOL system. Well, first of all, what is TOBOL? It is a network of electronic warfare systems developed to protect, in principle, Russian satellites. The GLONASS navigation system against electronic interference, spoofing, which is signal falsification, jamming, which is blocking, and space attacks. The full name is the TOBOL System for Navigation and Space Communication Protection. Here, we have some of the rare photos of the TOBOL system that Russia possesses. Wow, it's quite a large system, so it must be very powerful. And now, next we will see some of the interferences recorded in Eastern Europe. These interferences are probably attributed to the use of the TOBOL system by Russia. Well, as I mentioned, TOBOL was developed for the protection of Russian satellites, but they realized the following. What can be used to protect one of their assets can also be used to harm an enemy's asset. So they discovered that with TOBOL, they could interfere with enemy satellites, both through jamming, which is the scrambling of signals, and spoofing, which is the creation of false signals, something extremely dangerous. The Russians are specialists in employing spoofing systems with their electronic warfare means. It was installed near Russian strategic centers in Krasnoyarsk, Kaliningrad, Tambov, and other sensitive regions. In particular, the TOBOL installed in Kaliningrad, the one you see on the map there, right, this Russian enclave. It apparently has caused many problems in maritime and air navigation in neighboring countries. It's a quite powerful system, isn't it? What happens? You disrupt the satellite signal. The plane loses GPS. It's a huge mess. You practically go back to the early days of aviation in terms of navigation. The TOBOL is actually a silent line of defense, but it has a very large potential in this high-tech war that is the war in Ukraine. We have reports from French aviators who operated in the Black Sea from bases in Turkey. They were jammed by the TOBOL system. I believe it was TOBOL. And the jamming was so powerful that the pilots couldn't restart the plane's GPS system, and they had to resort to primitive navigation to return to their bases. Now, the fear NATO pilots have is not even about losing navigation capability, because you can use other systems to locate your base afterward. The problem is that, in such a situation, without a system, you might unknowingly enter Russian airspace and end up being shot down. There was a case, the one I mentioned in the Black Sea, where it seems the French pilots identified that they were being tracked by Russia's S-400s. And when you are tracked by the S-400 system, the possibility of having to leave the plane in an ejection seat, if you're lucky enough not to die, is very high. So they decided to return to their bases in Turkey. Now, one of the biggest applications of the TOBOL system is against the Starlink system. What did the Russians actually realize? That Ukraine is completely dependent on Elon Musk's Starlink system. And if they cut the signal, there is a significant degradation of the army's operational capacity, especially in terms of guided munitions, missile systems, etc. Some say it is impossible to interfere with the Starlink systems, which are low-orbit satellites. There are many doubts about this, because if we really take a close look, over the months, there has been a gradual degradation in the accuracy of the missiles and other guided systems that NATO provided to Ukraine. So it is likely that Russia has successfully employed the TOBOL system and other electronic warfare apparatuses against the Starlink system or the precision weapons that this system supports. Now, we cannot overlook one thing, right? I have already made several videos about electronic warfare. There was a case of the Italian F-35 that found itself in a very difficult situation in the Baltic. The pilot had to restart the plane's system more than 10 times because it was jammed by an Su-34 aircraft. So, what do we notice in this whole situation, right?
Então, o que a gente nota em toda essa brincadeira, né?
Russia invests heavily in electronic warfare systems, with dozens of systems, meaning you never really know what you're fighting against. And these systems are spread throughout Russian territory, having a massive presence on the battlefield in Ukraine, and they are truly a major headache for the Ukrainians and NATO. We have to remember that, in fact, this is a proxy war, with Ukraine being a proxy for NATO against Russia. And I think Brazil needs to keep an eye on this, on the warfare capability. Today, you can't wage war without a good electronic interference system. That's the truth. So, leave your comments on what you think. If you are already familiar with the TOBOL system, what you think of Russian systems and those from other countries, and if you also think they are capable of jamming Elon Musk's Starlink system. I'll now leave you with the video of our trip to Russia, to Chaika, which is the new route of the headquarters, the company that is promoting it, and then you'll see some offers from our bookstore. We'll be back shortly, always with responsibility and commitment. Faith in Brazil, folks. See you later. Stop everything, take a pause in this scrolling, and come with me to discover the incredible stories of bravery and innovation that await you in Russia's military museums. Believe me, these museums go far beyond battles and weapons. They are like an epic soap opera, showcasing human resilience, brilliant engineering, and the historical moments that shaped the world, just like the primetime soap opera. From the warriors of ancient Kievan Rus to the pioneers of the space age who touched the stars, each exhibit tells a thrilling story. At the Military Historical Museum of Artillery in St. Petersburg, you'll be amazed by centuries-old cannons and breathtaking fortifications, akin to the Great Wall of China. Meanwhile, in Moscow, the Central Armed Forces Museum holds an impressive collection of artifacts and memorabilia that span Russia's vast history. But it's not just about old objects. We get to know the people behind it all.
A gente vai conhecer as pessoas por trás de tudo isso. Os soldados, engenheiros e cidadãos comuns.
The soldiers, engineers, and ordinary citizens whose lives intertwined with these events. Personal letters, photographs, and stories that add a human touch to this grand canvas of history, as if we were watching everything from the front row. If you are passionate about history, fascinated by technology, or simply curious like me, these museums have something special for you. They offer a deep insight into Russia's rich cultural heritage and the incredible innovations that emerged in times of conflict. So, how about embarking on a journey through time? Visit Russia's military museums and dive into the human stories behind the facts. Their stories, our history. Uncover the past today. Well, folks, our reading recommendation is always the book here.
Bom, pessoal, a nossa indicação de leitura é esse livro aqui. Kutuzov, do Alexander Mikaberidze.
Kutuzov, by Alexander Mikaberidze, A Life in War and Peace. Because we have to remember that Kutuzov, besides being an excellent military leader, was a very good diplomat, a family man, someone who is said to have been an excellent family head and loved his children very much. It's a shame this book hasn't been released in Portuguese yet. It's only available in English on Amazon. I don't know if it will be released in Brazil, because now, with this stupid Russophobia we have in the West, The opportunity to release such a wonderful book in Portuguese might be lost. At least it was released in Europe and the United States. It's interesting. Anyone who reads this book will understand a lot about the Russian soul. I have always considered Kutuzov one of the greatest generals of all time. It needs to be studied. Okay? And I'm going to share another very interesting tip about Kutuzov that few people know. In the work War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy, I have it here in 4 volumes. You might find it in 2 volumes out there, and I'll leave several purchase options here. But in the films that were released, in the different versions of War and Peace, Kutuzov plays a very important role. Of course, we have to give it some leeway, because Tolstoy was actually a descendant of Kutuzov. So of course he's going to favor his own side. But it's very interesting. That doesn't take away from the brilliance of General Kutuzov. Including his famous phrase, "The most important battle is the last one," which he says in the movie War and Peace. There are several versions. You can watch them all. I'll leave some here in the description. All these books are available on Amazon, and every time you buy books and other items on Amazon, you're supporting the Arte de Guerra channel. Amazon accepts bank slips, credit cards, and installments. You always make an excellent deal on our Amazon wishlist, which is found here in the video description. Music.